So, with regards to this old apparent rom-com called What a Girl Wants, which is the cheesiest title ever, then nobody ever accused rom-coms of not having cheesy titles. Yeah, it's not even a comedy really. I mean, most of it isn't, at least those bits, but as usual, I mean, some rom-coms try too hard to, but this one just doesn't have like, if I wanted to watch nonsense about weird rituals, then great, it's the movie to watch. But really, I mean, um, I honestly wasn't quite aware that people are presented into society. That's the weirdest ritual ever. But yeah, it's not comedic at all, really. I mean, by all means, some bits are, and they throw people in fountains and whatnot. But then, they just revert back to, oh, let's pretend this is all as it should be, and then she gives up, and it is the problem. So there's this thing, and then comedy is long forgotten, and then come the cliches. Somebody described it as syrupy, but yeah, that is a problem. But it's more, the problem is more the cliches. There's so many of them, just one cliche after another. And honestly, if there was more ballroom disasters, it would have been funnier. What's the point of this? There were so few. There should have been more. There was the point. I'm assuming the original play is even more formal. I'm assuming it has more cliched nonsense. Um, the weird bit of trivia about it is that, and I didn't know this, but apparently this was written by the brother of a former prime minister, Douglas Home. At first, I thought it was him. I mean, I recognized the surname, but yeah, I didn't realize his brother was a playwright. Apparently, not quite a well-known one. But another weird bit of trivia that I couldn't understand. I read a bit about his biography and everything, but you know, I read just a tiny bit at least, sort of skimmed at least. And apparently he didn't want he was enlisted in the army in the Second World War, but he didn't quite want to go to war with Germany. Apparently, not sure why exactly. But anyway, um, and then he was disbarred or something, and apparently began doing plays after that. I don't quite think this is what exactly he wrote here. This is quite an updated version. I've read a bit of what the original play is supposed to be about. It doesn't even have the same names or anything. It has quite a few different scenarios. It's still about a reluctant debutante, but anyway, I don't quite know. I haven't seen the original movie either, so I cannot quite tell. If I ever watch the original movie, I'll update, I guess. Yeah, I'm assuming it is though. As I say, I mean, most old movies are even more formal than this. I'm assuming this is as wild as the play gets, really. I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'd be surprised if there's wall climbing in the original movie, but who knows? So what's weird is that he didn't want to have this war. Apparently, even though I mean he wasn't a politician. Apparently, he failed as a politician in terms of to be elected. So as far as that goes, I think that yeah. Anyway, um, a little bit of trivia though about this movie when compared to the original playwright's life is that this came out a couple of years after Iraq War began. Was it 2002? I guess it might have been 2002 considering it. Anyway, it came out, yeah, soon after, I guess, 2003. It was being made then as well, I guess, when war was declared on Iraq, which is obviously far over. I mean, the original author died a few decades, I think, before. Uh, so yeah, what's strange is that the peace symbol apparently was removed because of the ongoing war, which is very unfortunate. That, I mean, I can understand. I mean, it's nothing to do with politics or anything, but it's very unfortunate that a peace symbol is somehow controversial. Hmm. Somehow, huh? Hmm. Peace is controversial, huh? I guess war is the non-controversial bit, I guess. Hmm. Well, anyway, yeah. So, it is ultimately still quite boring, though. It's slightly different from many other rom-coms. Still boring, really. But in terms of in comparison to most other rom-coms, I mean, it's really most tend to be not very comedic. So as far as it goes, it has that in common. Most other rom-coms still do not have this sort of pageantry, this formal nonsense. So it's non-comedic for different reasons, I guess one could say. Most other rom-coms then are mostly not comedic because they focus too much uselessly on the romantic aspects when there's really not really much romance, because if you have slapstick comedy, how can you have really any proper romance? I don't know why they ever try to focus on romance. I guess you could say this is the same. Not quite though. I mean, the romance wasn't quite center stage in this movie, so I cannot complain about that specifically. But as opposed to that, with most rom-coms, the formal stuff was overbearing. Yeah, like what nonsense is this? Honestly, just it went along way too much, I think. But yeah, there weren't enough crashes per se. Honestly, if she really swung on a vine, it would have been funnier. But yeah, I mean, just falling off a stage isn't quite funny in itself. But I don't know, it didn't even happen too much at any rate. It only happened once, and um, yeah, then, pushing someone in some water isn't quite funny per se. It sort of felt appropriate in that aspect, but not quite funny still. Uh, I've seen Colin Firth in better movies at any rate. I mean, obviously this was an early one of his. Since then, he's done many others that were more interesting, and I could sort of see why they chose him for that stuttering king role. Yeah, I guess it sort of evolved from this, huh? He kind of stuttered here. Yeah. What I kind of didn't like so much, though, I thought they could have changed, is the fact that they retained the names. So I suppose, I mean, I understand they lent them the manner, whatever. This is where it just doesn't, it just isn't comedic, right? So I mean, sure, I suppose for the context, why not? But why? I mean, did they force them to retain the name? Because those people really exist, but I doubt they have anything to do with any of this, obviously. So I don't get why they retain the names just because they lend them but whatever. Um, I'm assuming they don't really like Cocoa Puffs, so so yeah, I don't know what the point of that was, to retain the names, but was yeah, it wasn't really funny though, it wasn't quite funny, it wasn't really, it was whatever though, really. If it was going to be a comedy of menace, I prefer the importance of being earnest. Yeah, that's definitely better. Wild is a better writer, surely, clearly.